I'm getting ready to set out on a 3-day bikepacking trip.
It'll all be worth it in the end.
Woohoo! As the cactus-filled environment would suggest, there's not a lot of water here.
This detour isn't as quick and easy as I'd hoped. We're getting to the top of something. We made it to our first water source. If I have another daughter, I should name her Sandy Watch. I don't know, it's looking a little deeper than we probably want to do carrying bikes. This is the toughest part of this route.
This is totally cracked.
It's always an adventure.
I'm setting out with my friends Emma and Cody, and we are going to be bike packing. We've got about a 95 miler ahead of us, and a couple of tough climbs and a whole lot of beautiful country and some fun downs.
So here's my setup. I usually in the past have used a seat bag, but I'm trying the rack because that way I can use my dropper. There's a lot of water on this bike.
As the cactus-filled environment would suggest, there's not a lot of water here.
It's gonna be good though. We're gonna kick it off with a climb. I think we have a good 10 or 12 miles of mostly climbing. So it's a tough way to start out a ride, but at the same time, it's nice to get climbing out of the way early in the day and enjoy some downhill later. Our route is kind of a hybrid that I created. It's a combination of part of the Gila River Ramble, which I've done before, but I never saw this part because we finished that ride at night and we were going the other direction. So this will be cool. This feels new. And then we're also doing, picking up part of the AZT at the bottom of Picket Post. Cody's a beast, so he's on single speed. I'm feeling like, man, with a heavy bike and some solid climbing to start out with, I'm just gonna need to take it really easy and just remember, I'm gonna get tired sooner. Got a good breeze with us. Hope that sticks around for most of the climb. Thank you.
After about 20 minutes of gentle climbing, the grade got much steeper.
These ones are just gonna wear me out if I try and stubbornly power through all of them. Getting a little scrabbly. This would be gravy if I wasn't bikepacking. Man, I don't know if the camera can see this, but look at the size of that pit mine. It's just massive. I'm just walking for a bit here because I think at the moment I'll make more steady progress. Just walking some of these climbs gets me through the day. It'll all be worth it in the end. We keep feeling like we're getting to the top of the hill and then we come around a corner and we wrap around the side of another hill that's taller. We're getting to the top of something. I'm pedaling! Man, the higher up we get, the bigger that mine is. This first part of the day is gonna go by slow, but yeah, once we get to the top of that last big climb, it's gonna be like,
Because what, 12 miles of climbing today?
Yeah. Even though Cody's in insanely good shape and he could ride this several times faster than we could, it's just super low-key. Glad to have a little crew of 3 of us out here. This stuff takes a lot of energy.
As we worked our way up the first climb, some of these grades were still pretty tough on a loaded bike, but we started to get more breaks in between as well.
Chugging away on this climb.
This rolling ridgeline segment was really fun to ride.
I think we pretty much made it down our first big climb for the day. Ease our way down a little bit. The side hill exposure does get to me a little bit, but I'm trying to stick with it. Just doing a little down, and then there's a lot of tight switchbacks coming down here. They're kind of over my head. Yeah, me too.
Being in such a remote area, we worked our way down at a careful pace, enjoying the views as we went.
Tech for the day.
That was a cool ridge
Yeah,
line.
awesome. I'm guessing we're probably around 7 miles-ish. How's the riding so far?
Good. Yeah, that downhill was really nice to get to.
Awesome. Having a great time out here, especially down.
It's nice, and no matter what's going on, if you go downhill, the breeze picks up. It makes it really nice.
Yeah.
If I have another daughter, I should name her Sandy Wash. There's creosote down in this wash, and it smells so good. I absolutely love the smell of creosote, and if you've never smelled it, I hope you get the chance. It's like a really clean smell. It's almost like an artificially clean smell, except you won't get high sniffing it. You can see a climb up there ahead. That's gonna be our, well, at least part of our last big climb for the day. Man, props to all the hikers out here hiking the entire AZT. All right, here we are climbing again.
Now we were on to our second big climb of the day. There were a few spots that were a little walky for me on a loaded bike, but it was much more pedalable in general than the previous climb.
Yeah. A nice thing about doing these climbs at the beginning of the day is that our water was pretty cool most of the time. Some of these saguaro must have a dozen or more arms. I wonder how old that is.
All right, that is the top of the sustained climb, so no more like miles and miles of climbing today. The landscape will still roll, but we're trending downward, I think, for the rest of the day until we get to the Gila River. How's everybody holding out?
Pretty good. It wasn't too bad for the first day of climbing.
I thought the second climb was going to be a lot worse, actually.
All right, we're gonna be on double track for the rest of today. I would say we were around probably mile 10-ish when we got onto the Jeep road.
I knew we had a water source coming up pretty soon. I almost missed it, but looked up at just the right moment.
We made it to our first water source. I've actually been on this stretch of the Gila River Ramble route before. If you come here, push the float down, stick your bottle under there, you can get it straight from the spigot, but it's a lot better than filtering that. I would not count on this as a water source in the summertime because I don't picture them grazing cattle this elevation in the summer. But at least, you know, twice over the winter and spring I've done it and it's been reliable, so that's cool. See, it filters pretty quick when it's and pretty easy when it's clear, yeah. I love these Sawyer filters, but they're a lot easier to use when you have pretty clean water, clear water, like alpine kind of stuff. When you get in the silty desert stuff, like what we're gonna be filtering tonight, it takes a lot more out of your hands. I'm so glad we stopped to do that. I was thinking we don't need to, so we'll probably ride past that, but kind of before we got here, I thought, ooh, it's gonna filter so much faster, and it did. So glad we did that.
And it was nice and cool, and our water's starting to get hot out here, so
yeah,
it's nice to have some cool water.
There are so many intersecting dirt roads in this area, so we had to keep a close eye on the GPS, but even then, we were able to finally put down some quick miles.
One kind of bummer about this trip is I forgot to put a mount. I usually have a bar mount on this bike, and I wasn't using it much, so I took it off. Forgot to put it back on. But I'm just carrying this in the hip pocket of my hip pack, and it's keeping us on track.
It's interesting, there's a little area here where you can tell there's been a wildfire. You don't really think of that in the desert. You just assume there's nothing to burn, but yeah, there's stuff that can burn.
Our road took us out onto a ridgeline, and that's when our elevation really started to drop.
This is nice, we're really cruising now. I think we are making 25, 30 miles tonight. We are up here on this ridge. Looks like we're just gonna like ride off a cliff up here.
Sometimes double track can be boring, but this was awesome. 10 miles of downhill on a beautiful ridgeline with these gorgeous desert mountain ranges in the background. These were some really fun miles.
We're being circled by a vulture. Hopefully he doesn't know something we don't know. We were way the heck up on that ridgeline forever. So fun. Now it's starting to feel like we're seeing more washes. We're probably getting close to the valley floor again. Earliest like standout outdoorsy adventure memory.
My grandparents have 25 acres, and there's a giant swamp in the back of it. and me and my cousins and brothers would go swamping. We made like a whole little village out in the swamp, and we would come back to my grandma's like waist deep covered in mud.
Up with my dad in Colorado, and we went and rode some trail called Stoner Mesa, and it was a big ride for me at the time. It was like 35 miles, and just long gravel road climb, like 8 miles up across the top of a mesa, and then come down. And of course, Colorado on top of the mesa starts dumping on us, and it just turns to death mud up there, where if you just rolled your bike, you had so much dirt and mud on it. And then to end the trail, it was just like a 2-mile single track drop down to the bottom, and it was so steep and muddy, we were just sliding down on our bottoms with the bikes in front of us. That was a fun one.
Pretty cool. We were looking down on that rock from above, but now we're almost to the foot of it. I think we're gonna ride through a wash and climb up that ridge. All right, so I am running this Toe Peak rack, and it has this bag that fits in it. When you look at it, it just kind of says commuter, not so much bike packing, but the rack that this one goes on is meant for off-road kind of stuff. But it started bouncing a little bit, then it started bouncing a ton, and look at this. I hate it when that happens. This is totally cracked. I think the best thing that I have option-wise, repair-wise, is maybe Gorilla Tape, but I think I'm still gonna have a bouncy trip for that. All right, so I don't really have a fantastic way to do this, but I've put some Gorilla Tape on the back and front side on either side, and then I found this it's like baby paracord, and I'm gonna try and wrap it around the rack and hopefully cinch it down. I got a janky little trucker's hitch-ish kind of thing going on. Should have practiced that knot a few more times. Steve told me I was gonna need it. Little did he know why. But I think that'll get us into camp. Riding in a wash, riding in a wash, riding in a sandy wash. I did it! I'm on a climb, but it's been pretty bearable. Getting the heart going, but pretty rideable so far. Oh, that thing sounds terrible back there, but Emma says the knot's holding. I might see if I can tighten it a little more at the top of this. My wonderful knot tying skills, I need to go back and do some more practicing, clearly. But Cody had this bike lock, and so he just...
Yep. Forgot to give it back to Steve, so...
He uses his upper body strength to just ratchet the heck out of that thing, and that's feeling good. So that should be good. Yeah, let's ride. See if it quiets it down. Oh, it's so quiet back there. Lovely. That's much better. So glad Cody had that bike lock and thought to use it. I think this might be the last leg of this climb. Yeah, you can see like the line of...
Oh, where the big trees are.
Yeah, where the trees are. This sand is a little deep in a few places, but having just that slight downhill slope in our favor makes such a big difference. We've hardly had to pedal. And a short hill, slow and steady does it for me. These trees are called tamarisk, and they're an invasive species, and they just choke out shoreline of rivers and creeks. It makes gaining any kind of creek access kind of difficult. And you can see, I mean, just even to keep this 4x4 road, they have to trim the crap out of this stuff. It just grows like crazy. Looks like we're getting close to something man-made. I wonder if that's the dam where we should be able to cross the creek. Down to the creek. Well, we made it to the creek. This was where, if we were gonna cross and avoid, like, there's like a 5-mile detour that will take you to like either a bridge or a paved ford. We were hoping to avoid that, but this is much wider and it looks also deeper than the last time I was here. I don't know, it's looking a little deeper than we probably want to do carrying bikes and a little more swift. So I think we're just gonna cut our losses, save the time. I think pedaling the extra 5 miles to get around this is gonna be a better use of our time. But that's cool. It means we're getting there. We're getting pretty close to camp.
Yeah,
5 miles. Kind of cool. There's like this mechanical drudging arm that goes down, picks up any debris below the dam grates, and then carries it over there, dumps it, comes back, works its way across. Back to our route. Oh, no. Not today. Go for it, Cody. This detour isn't as quick and easy as I'd hoped. It's a little hard to follow, and I'm questioning that there was not this fence here before when the route I'm using was created, because my route looks like it goes right through there. It's always an adventure. We finally found the dam road that goes along the dam. I do think that some of this used to not be fenced in, but now is. That's kind of my theory why we got off. Well, it's been a few miles, a couple miles, and this fence just seems to be going on and on. But there's some buildings up here that look like they are related to the dam, so we're gonna go up here and see. This is the toughest part of this route, is finding a good way across the creek.
Little things will always come up on a trip like this. It's really nice being able to combine brain power with a couple level-headed friends and share decision making.
Heyo.
After a little bit of meandering around, we were finally able to get across on dry land.
Yeah. Woohoo! We're finally gonna make it across the creek. Back on route. I'm getting pretty tired. It's crazy how like 30 miles some days is like nothing, and other days it's a lot, and a lot of it just depends on the terrain.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't bad until the last 5 right here.
Yeah, I was just kind of getting like, yeah, I'm getting ready to make camp. It's not like the hardest day I've ever ridden, but I'm glad that the days for this route aren't longer. So yeah, so Cody's gonna go grab some water, and then we'll head up the road, not too far because we got to come back down to the creek to top off with water in the morning. Well, we made it to camp, found a nice little spot. It's not terribly cold. I think it's gonna be a pretty good night's sleep. And everyone did awesome today.
I've got a grateful part of the day and a best part. So I'm super grateful for Cody and Tess to have the GPS when we were struggling there for a while, because the roads out here aren't numbered, which was very strange. But the best part of the day was getting to the cattle tank and getting cold water, because I haven't ridden in 80 degrees since probably October, so it's definitely it was a lot hotter than I'm used to.
So my best part of today, I would say that rolling ridgeline descent we had. It seems like it just went on for miles. What, 5-10 miles of it? Just super fun the whole time. And I did actually really enjoy that last climb out of the wash, like before we got to the dam. That was just a fun climb.
Best part of the day for me was probably when we were coming slowly, kind of traversing across this ridge and mostly kind of coming down it, and the views were just amazing. I'm excited to get some rest, and I think I'm gonna sleep pretty well. I think that's it.